So good to be here virtually and good to see you all in a sense. Through my progression of my academic career, I've sought to create an inclusive and equitable climate in my classroom. Because I believe teachers need to be mindful of these spaces in which our students have privilege and where they may not. I believe that volunteerism and service are acts of privilege. And I was pleased to find that the Thane Center staff and faculty members have already considered these ideas and incorporated ways to reduce deficit model thinking in their service learning classes. So I spent a long morning, a good morning, with a fellow faculty member, Andrea Malouf, discussing ways to increase service opportunities in innovative ways with students who are and are not in positions of privilege, those who may be Native allies and advocates, and those who might not, students who might have lots of experience with advocacy or none at all, and all levels in between, and how to do this without increasing saviorism and deficit model thinking. From this hours-long discussion, we laid the groundwork, which would become my new signature assignment. I say it's a new one. I've taught it for 2 semesters now. And this is for my Psych 1100 Lifespan Human Growth and Development course. The assignment focuses on community engagement, developmental psychology, and advocacy in partnership with community assets. These are Salt Lake Community College Dream Center and Comunidades Unidas. And just to note, I do plan to expand those. I'm starting slow and expanding. As I have sought to manage the tone of my assignments, the communication, and also to encourage an inclusive classroom culture, I strive to communicate my instructions plainly, and I define academic terms and include transparency about goals and grading rubrics. Because I know that research gives us evidence about how doing so and becoming transparent in our instructions has a positive effect for students who are English language learners, first-generation college students, Gen Z students, and others. And I'll talk about the assignment using language directly from the instructions. And I begin in the assignment with a definition of what advocacy is, and I continue with the purpose of the assignment, which is to give them, students, the experience in communicating an educational message to support a cause. And it's also maybe interesting to note that I chose an advocacy message because it does not require someone to travel face-to-face, and that actually worked out during the pandemic. I didn't foresee that, but it worked out well. This assignment addresses the Salt Lake Community College Civic Literacy Learning Outcome, which I include by a link. I include it in its entirety and include all of the learning outcomes by a link. The goal of the assignment is to demonstrate an understanding of the political, historical, economic, and sociological aspect of a current policy or lack thereof, and to apply their knowledge of how the development of infants, children, adolescents, or adult immigrants are impacted by current practice. Students craft a message, a campaign, in playing the role of an advocate for a specific age group of immigrants, refugees, or BIPOC communities. Students do this in partnership with their choice of either Comunidades Unidas or the Salt Lake Community College Dream Center. Last semester, student advocacy campaigns focused on topics such as immigration policy, mental health needs, disparate COVID-19 impacts, educational inequities, medical and other translation needs, and more. And maybe not surprisingly, most of the campaigns focused on the developmental stage of childhood. But there was a topic this last year that was so unique that it alerted an issue to our community partners of an unaddressed need or problem. And that is sign language translations for deaf or hard of hearing in immigrant, BIPOC, and refugee communities. The form of the communication can be made in several ways, as a letter to the editor, op-ed, 1 to 2 page letter to or email to a government official, an online social media campaign, or any kind of creative effort like a graphic novel, an art piece, a poem, a song. As long as the student clearly demonstrates that they fulfill the instructions of the assignment, they may be creative. And I do encourage that. In fact, most of the students created an op-ed or a letter to the editor, but we did have a poem last semester, which it was awesome. And so it should be noted that I put play the part of an advocate in quotations because they create the message, but they are not required to disseminate it publicly. That's up to them whether they do so or not. Once they create that assignment, the message, then they turn in 3 parts to the assignment. First of all, it's a description of their communication with our community partners. Then they submit the actual advocacy campaign that they created, and then they write a 2 to 4 page reflection on their experiences as an advocate. And before I end, I want to highlight the importance of cultivating a relationship of trust with community partners before one attempts to do an assignment such as this. Our community partners have much to do. They're often passionate about their work and willing to give their time, their money, and their own resources, even to the detriment of their own selves and their own families, in order to help their communities. Too many times in my own work as an advocate, I've seen new partners come and go, sometimes with little, none, or even negative impacts to the community organization. So we in academia must make sure that the assignments, time commitment, and expectations be transparent to our community partners. And we must ensure that the partnership is beneficial to the individual, their organization, and to the communities they serve. Thank you very much.